the EP Podcast. Heard everywhere podcasts can be found, and always at the EPPodcast.com.
The holiday season is upon us. Thanksgiving is this week. I figured what better time to sit down with somebody I've been looking forward to talking to since we started the EP podcast and just kind of having a conversation, a show. Sitting here today with me, we're going to just call this episode, very easy to title, Me and the Mayor. Mayor Sexton sitting with me. How are you, sir?
Good, Chris. Thank you for having me. As you said, we've been trying forever to get this together. We've met on a few other occasions, festivals and things, but glad to sit down and try and catch you up on what's happening in Evergreen Park for the holiday.
Oh, you know what? I'm going to tell you something. I have been here now. I grew up at 80th and Spalding, but I went to Brother Rice. So my first experience with Evergreen Park is when I went to Brother Rice High School. I knew a lot of kids that were in the neighborhood in Evergreen Park, and went away, did radio, came back, and moved in here. Gosh, we're about 15 years almost here, 14, 15 years I've been in the same spot in Evergreen. And I have always been impressed with two things. One, that it seems like there's always something going on. And two, that the neighborhood, after living all over the country and even coming back, and I spent a little bit of time living in Beverly because I was trying to figure out where I was going to be because my parents weren't in that house anymore in Ashburn. This entire area feels like home to me. It still has an old school Chicago South Side feel to me. Even though it's its own village, it has that feel to me. I've always appreciated that. And, as a person that lives inside the village, I think a little bit of the credit has to go to you.
No, it's everybody that's here, Chris. This is an incredible story, and it goes on for years and years and years. It is a small South Side village, but it is part of the big city. So a lot of our residents have been transplanted from the city of Chicago. I always like to call Chicago our largest suburb.
It's like people from St. Paul saying Minneapolis is that other little town next door.
That small one next to us is called Chicago.
What did you think of this whole operation? Because I've gotten the impression that, like, when you saw that there was a guy doing something called the EP podcast, you're probably like, first of all, what the heck is that? And what is this going to be? I'm really curious. Like, what did you think and what do you think now?
I'm kind of old. I didn't know much about podcasts. So I'm telling you the truth there. But I knew you came from great stock.
Oh, I appreciate that.
I knew you came from great stock. Tell your mother I was looking through the yearbooks the other day looking for another picture in the yearbook, and I ran across your Maz. Beautiful lady.
I don't think I've ever let anybody in on this. The mayor and my mother went to Little Flower together. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And was it high school?
High school.
Okay. I didn't realize that she got skipped 2 grades at some point in grammar school.
She was at the grammar school
so she didn't even
and the high school.
She couldn't even learn to drive until she was towards the end of high school. She was younger than everybody when she was there.
Not only pretty but smart. Then there was my story. I skipped 1 grade.
Oh, so you two were young kids and surrounded by older kids.
No, you got to let me finish, Chris.
Okay.
But I had to do 3rd grade twice. Then I skipped to 5th. I always said it was a matter of the numbers. I just got caught up in a numbers game. My wife Karen said, no, you couldn't pass. So I did skip 4th.
All right.
After doing 3rd twice.
Wow. It is now time for your EP Word on the Street. Friday, December 6th, 7:30 p.m., one night only. A 1940s radio Christmas. As heard on our last episode, I will be one of the stars. Actually, I saw rehearsal. There's a lot of people more talented than me that are going to be up on that stage. Tickets are $12 for adults, $10 for seniors and students. Kids under 10 are $5, and they are going fast. Get them at the EP Community Center, 3450 West 97th Street. Do not forget that the EP Podcast is holding its hopefully annual competition, The Good People of Evergreen Park. If we see you doing something good, or if you or somebody else nominates you through our Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram pages, we are handing out all kinds of prizes. Let's do some good and reward some good. And don't forget the annual Dickens Christmas Festival taking place here in Evergreen Park, Saturday, December the 7th, in and around the community center from 2 to 6 p.m. The EP podcast will be out there with Santa Claus, a Christmas train, trolley, music, crafters, refreshments, and the big tree lighting ceremony with our guest this week, the mayor of Evergreen Park, James Sexton. The EP podcast rolls on, found everywhere podcasts can be found, and always at the EPPodcast.com. The world is fast and busy. Sometimes you got to get down to your speed. And the place to lower your speed and relax in Evergreen Park is at the Red Palm. You get a little island attitude at a local latitude. When you walk into the Red Palm, it's like walking into an island bar, but right in Evergreen Park. With a menu like no other created by Chef Mario and cooked in a beautiful wood fire oven. Unique taste, comfort foods, and don't forget, 'tis the season for holiday gatherings. Whether it be a family gathering, a work gathering, the Red Palm has you covered. Their incredible banquet room with bar and specialized menu is perfect for any occasion. Get your date reserved now and call them at 708-581-3154. The Red Palm at 3020 West 95th Street. Island attitude, local latitude.
We moved here 44 years ago. And I used to make fun of my mother and father because they lived in one house at 81st and Hermitage their whole life.
Right.
I said, how strange. You could live in one house your whole life. And here I am, 44 years later, living in one house.
Same house.
And that'll be it.
Is most of the family still around in here in Evergreen? Or?
All 3 kids are here, and all 5 of the grandkids go to District 124.
I want to get into a lot of stuff today. We're gonna spend the show here with you, but I kind of wanted to first start off with some of the events that are going on this holiday season, because the 2 big seasons are, of course, the summer. There's so much going on. When I talk to the people that work for you in all the different departments, that's one of their busiest times. And now has to be busy as well because there's so many things that are happening. We have, Thanksgiving. I know the food pantry will be doing stuff right off the bat, and then we'll lead right into there's a play that I know Glenn Panuski's putting on, which he's asked me and my daughter to be in. That's going to be happening at the Senior Center on the 6th, and then the 7th is the tree lighting ceremony. Correct?
Correct. And now they start out with the pantry. They always do a huge Thanksgiving drop-off.
Right.
So the people will come by the hall, pick up their Thanksgiving dinners, and also the high school, thanks to Pete's Fresh Market, donates dinners to the needy, the infirmed, seniors that can't get out, those that don't have families. The high school students and the Board of Ed package and cook for the less fortunate on Thanksgiving morning, starting at 11 a.m. to, I believe, 11 to 2. But they'll also deliver to their homes.
How important is it to you? Because I just spoke with the folks over at the food pantry recently. How big of a deal is it for you that there is something like that here in the village? Because to me, that was an amazing operation to learn about a few weeks ago here on the podcast, and that episode's still up if people want to go check it out. But it seems like that. I mean, the village is supporting it, and they were almost surprised at how much support they get from the village. Like they were like, they don't really need to do so much to help us, but they're constantly doing everything they can to help us out over there. And then it seems to serve an awful lot of people from all 4 corners of Evergreen Park.
Well, it does. And how can you say no to full-time volunteers? They're some of the most wonderful people. They go over there and volunteer, not paid 1 cent for the hours that they put in at the pantry. We let them use our old Howard fire station to store their food and pass it out and sort it. But they're all volunteers. So when they're asked for some help from the village, I think it would be our small part to help them, to help the less fortunate. And they have a big day on Thanksgiving. They'll have 150 people come through there looking for a turkey, a ham, and some food to get through the holiday with. We're all not as fortunate as you and I.
How long have you been a mayor?
20 years, almost 20 years.
20 years you've been a mayor of Evergreen Park.
2001.
So in that time, you've probably dealt with a lot of different things. If you had the rank order of importance on like things that you have to do as a mayor or things that you overlook, how high is it just quality of life of the people that are inside compared to things like, bringing in revenue, your police force, things like that. But I mean, that's a quality of life type thing to make sure that you don't have people kind of slipping behind with something like that food pantry or projects like that.
Well, we would never want anybody to be left out, Chris. So anytime we can help, as I said, we're fortunate. And I don't know that during the holiday season that we look around enough to see who is not as fortunate. My kids, my grandkids, they get most anything they need. But there's people out there that can't afford it because they're out of work, they're sick. So we need to help those during this time of year that need our support. And it makes you feel better. I don't care. We can set up the plaza. We can have a great police department, a great fire department, a great recreation department, all these good people that work here. But I get a good feeling when we're able to bring a smile to somebody's face during the holidays because no one else wanted to bring a smile to their face.
I think about the comparison between what it must be like to be mayor of, let's say, this village and being maybe the mayor of like Lori Lightfoot, okay, in Chicago, where she probably gets whisked to 15, 20 events a day. And you get the opportunity when you're at these events to kind of talk to the people that are actually around a little bit more. Could you imagine yourself being like a large city mayor? Because I would imagine you've seen the difference firsthand.
It's great. I get to go out and touch people. I can see people and talk to them every day, whether it's in the local food store or if it's at these festivals. And they give me ideas. They give me challenges. They sometimes criticize what I do or we do, and we take that into account and try and fix it. But it's great to see people. It's funny how everywhere I go, I know somebody and know their name. And it's like, how do you remember that many names? How do you remember that person? When you've done this for a while and you've met these people on multiple occasions, you get to know their name and their families. All of our kids grew up together, and our grandkids now grow up together. It's great. I wouldn't want Lori Lightfoot's job or her predecessors. It looks like you'd get lost in a maze.
Right. I could imagine it would be something like that.
And I think you lose the personal effect when you have that many people. You're shaking hands and you're saying hello, but you don't know who you're saying hello to, and you don't know how you affect their daily life.
So you're getting an idea, in real time, you're saying when you go out to these events and stuff like that, policies or ideas that you guys might do or things that you've already done or things that may need to be fixed. You're getting that picture while you're out talking with people.
Absolutely. I'm always taking notes. It might be a street light out in front of somebody's house. It might be a garbage can that's broken. They don't have the time to get up here, or maybe they don't have the time to call us. But they'll say, hey, can you look at this light? Certainly we can. I'll make a note, bring it back in here, and then have one of our people rectified for them. That's why we're here. We work for you.
Have you ever had a thing like, 20 years, you ever have a moment where you felt like something that you were going to do or something you did do or something like that, and then after talking with people, you changed course where you're just like, you know what? This seemed like it was a great idea. And now that I've kind of talked to a few different people about it, I'm like, you know what? Maybe we could adjust that a little bit or make some sort of a tweak to it. Does that happen?
Absolutely. There's a lot smarter people out there than myself. So if I'm not listening, I'm not learning. Yeah, people give us suggestions as to how to do this, how to do that. We just had a situation at the dog park where we have a sewer in there. We were having some drainage problems, and we put a sewer in, and the sewer can't be covered over because obviously it wouldn't accept the water. So the dog, a small dog, got his hoof caught in the sewer, and people called and asked if we could put a fence around it. I haven't been in the dog park, don't have a dog, love dogs, but don't have one.
Right.
So yeah, there's an instance where we got 2 or 3 calls about this hazard inside the dog park. So Gavin went out and put a little fence around it. Hence, we solved the problem.
Imagine in another place if you actually had a problem, how long it would take to get that fixed. Like, I always think of that, like how hard it would be. And I don't even compare my brain just to Chicago. I think of like the other town. I mean, I lived in Wheeling, West Virginia. That would have taken forever. I lived in like Reno, Nevada. That would have taken forever. I mean, like, it's not just like, it's most cities aren't like that. Okay. I've been out in other suburbs that I don't think things would move that quickly.
But we have great people. And I don't say that to blow smoke, Chris. These are the most incredible group of people to be working with. You said earlier, working for. They don't work for me. They work with me. We're all the same level. We all try and go out and do what we can to keep the public happy. Street guys are out working double time and extra hours to pick up the leaves right now. We're probably one of the only suburbs in America that picks up the leaves curb to curb.
Oh, yeah, I've never seen it.
So they're out there.
The first year I was here and people were doing it, I was like, what are these people doing? They're all shooting leaves into the street.
And it's an old habit, and it's hard to break. But people are used to it, so we'll continue to do that. But our people go out and do such a great job at picking those up. Typically right before Thanksgiving, might be Tuesday, Wednesday. They'll say, I'm having a big crowd Thanksgiving Day, and they haven't picked up my leaves. Can they come over here now? And we're not always able to do that because they do it in sections. And there's so many leaves, and they come down at such a different time every year, it becomes difficult. But when people do call for special services, we're glad to oblige them.
I was thinking about while you were talking about how it's easy for you to sit there. I mean, I'm never going to try to put anything out there that says it's easy. I make it seem like, it's easier for you to do things in Evergreen. What you're doing, a lot of people can't do in their other suburbs, what you guys are pulling off. But it's more streamlined in Evergreen when something needs to be done. That's what I should be saying. How easy or difficult is it for you to deal with the bordering areas to Evergreen? You're surrounded on three sides by Chicago. You have Oak Lawn on the other end. And the perfect example is 103rd and Kedzie. Just recently, Chicago comes over and they scrape up the street. And then they didn't do anything with it for like a week and a half. And then when they finally put it in there, they didn't put any lines down there for a couple of days. And if that would have continued, which now I think I believe they finally put temporary lines out there or something like that, it's not ours, but it affects people that are in that area of Evergreen. If it started to become something where people were calling you saying, even though it doesn't start for 100 feet there, Evergreen, after that intersection, like, is there anything you can do? Do you have an open line with Chicago or Oak Lawn where you're able to make a call?
Absolutely. We have a great working relationship with Alderman O'Shea.
So you go to the alderman?
Yeah, I would talk to the alderman.
Okay.
He's always available. We work very closely together. And the IDOT, that was an IDOT project.
Was it? Okay.
I'll give you a quick bit of history on that. We had gotten the funding through the South Suburban Mayors and Managers to have 87th Street to 135th in Kedzie repaved. So all of a sudden, 103rd to 115 got carved out and got done. So I asked the guy at IDOT the other night, why? Well, the city wanted to push theirs up. And I said, but doesn't it make a lot more sense to do it from 87th to 135th?
So it was going to run from 87th to 135th.
Yeah, and they cut out their piece.
Chicago was like, just do ours now?
Yes. So, hence, the price went up.
Right.
If you're going to do more, it's going to cost you less. And I kind of laughed that's typically the way the IDOT does things.
Right.
Okay, it's all federal money, but if it was done in one lump like it was supposed to be, the cost would have been down. But the city cut out their piece, 103rd to 115th. They let them cut it out, and they did the smaller pieces.
So when you're saying cost, is that IDOT's cost, our cost, Chicago's cost?
Well, federal government, everything is our cost. If you're a taxpayer,
Right.
It's our cost. Yes.
That's amazing.
It just doesn't make a lot of sense. Now, I used to go through suburbs and see them lay in new streets, and then 2-3 years later, they'd come through and put sewers in. Why didn't you put the sewers in before you laid the new asphalt?
Right. So when we do things here in Evergreen, now 95th is a state road, right?
State highway,
So
as
it's a
is
state
Kedzie,
highway.
as is
And
87.
Kedzie is,
Yes.
and 87th is. So in reality, all of your major thoroughfares are unfortunately not under your control because the state would do all that repaving
Correct.
stuff, right?
Correct, yes.
That's got to be difficult to kind of deal with when you're sitting there and you got your city, but you get an intersection that runs right through the heart of it that you have no control over in terms of like the maintenance
It
of.
becomes difficult, but we also have great representation. A state rep with Kelly Burke and Bill Cunningham is our state senator. John Daly is our county commissioner with Stanley Moore. So we have great working relationships, and you have to work on those things. You have to create a friendship with these people that are working with you.
Right, because if you're not working with them, it doesn't matter what you want to do because you're going to need outside help no matter what.
Absolutely.
You do. Like the buck doesn't completely all the time stop at the mayor's office just as much as it doesn't stop at their office because collectively everybody kind of has to work together to get these bigger projects.
We all have to work together to make it happen.
Does your financial advisor actually take time to listen to you? Is your financial strategy personalized for you and your family? Will your financial advisor be there as your life and financial situation changes? Why worry about those things when Tom Walsh is nearby? He's your local Edward Jones financial advisor. He works with you, focusing on what's important to you. He uses an established process to create personalized financial strategy, and he partners with you to help your strategy stay on track. Listen, families in South Chicagoland have been benefiting from Tom's get-to-know-you approach and do the right thing values for over 18 years. Contact my close personal friend and also a fellow Brother Rice alumni, Tom Walsh. He's your local Edward Jones advisor, located in Mount Greenwood, right outside of the EP at 111th and Kedzie. Member SIPC. One of the things that I've heard about you, and which I think is really incredible to me, and I think I brought it up here on the show before, is the involvement that you have when it comes to some of the small businesses here in Evergreen even getting started in Evergreen. Okay, like Unidad, who I've done some things with before, they always tell the story how you pulled up in front of their house because you had heard that they were looking at a place. Okay, Thithi, she told me that you were extremely helpful when it came time to decide whether or not she was going to open up her restaurant right on Kedzie Avenue or if she was going to go someplace else because she originally was looking someplace else. The little extra that came from the mayor's office, how much of that are you doing a year? Like, I imagine you walking around talking to a lot of small businesses. Am I right in that?
We've had 2 or 3 conversations today. When I get done with your podcast, I'm going to meet some banking people from this area, from Beverly Bank at Unidad, Jamie and Sal. And yeah, they sat just at this table.
Yeah.
They were going somewhere else. And I said, to hell with there somewhere else. You ought to be here.
Right.
This is your hometown. Now, you know the success that's gone on over there.
Oh, yeah.
I was at your other second favorite place, Core Fitness today.
Oh, I was going to ask you about that.
And there was a lady in Core Fitness asking me about Unidad, that she had been there. She was an accountant. She had been there, and how wonderful it was.
Now, you mentioned Core, and you can help me out here a little bit because Core's been really nice enough, and they've been advertising with the EP podcast. And the one thing I haven't had a chance to talk about because I haven't done physical therapy over there is the idea of doing physical therapy. You had something happen to you a few years ago, and luckily you were able to recover from what happened to you. You had to go over there to Core, and you told a story recently about them in front of the people at when you gave your State
Chamber.
of the Village.
Yeah, the Chamber.
And you
yes.
sat there and you gave that story. What was that? I mean, going in there and working there, kind of give me a difference of what happened before, how you were feeling before, and how you felt after you worked out over there.
Well, a quick history. I spent 45 days in Christ Hospital with the neurological problems because of the encephalitis, which was the West Nile.
I didn't know if we wanted to bring that up. That's why I tap danced around it.
It's not.
I mean, everybody in the village knows you had West Nile, but I didn't want to like jump right into that.
That's all right. I don't want anybody else to get it. Even my
right.
worst enemy should not get that. So 45 days in there, a couple weeks in intensive, then to RIC, which is the Shirley Ryan Rehabilitation Institute. And then I went to a doctor in Oak Lawn, an orthopedic guy, and I'll never forget, Karen and I went in there at 7 o'clock in the morning, and he stumbles in and he says, boy, you're done.
Really?
Yeah. He He said, your shoulders and arms and neck will never be the same.
Really?
And he said, but I got therapy here. And if you want to do therapy here, I said, no, that's okay.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't stay with a guy that told you you're
I
done.
got a little bit different view of how this is going to turn out.
Right.
And went over to CORE, and as I think I told the people at the chamber outing luncheon, was that when I went into CORE, I couldn't touch my ass with either hand.
Right.
Okay, and their physical therapy and the things they do over there are so incredible. I'm probably 95% of what I was prior to that. My right hand didn't work at all. They told me, put it in your pocket, put it in your windbreaker and leave it there because you'll probably never use it again.
Wow.
CORE didn't believe that. Colleen and Diane over there took a special interest and said, you're not going to fail. You're going to do this. And they work you like crazy. Started doing something called activation. That's a new technique. And they're so wonderful, and they take everything personal. They took me as a personal problem, and believe me, I was a problem. When you can't sit or stand or do a lot of different things.
And somebody's telling you it's not going to get any better.
Well, he'll go unmentioned.
They said we can fix it, but you got somebody who told you beforehand that's it.
And they told me they could fix it, and I said, let's go.
Wow. It's an amazing story. I did not expect that. That's an amazing story.
And I wasn't going to take no for an answer. I got 5 grandkids. I've got 3 kids here. I don't want them all looking at me like I was done.
Right.
We had a lot of work to do here. That's going on. There'll be 8 years this August.
When that happened, I mean, I would imagine you at that point are just trying to make sure that you get better. And other people kind of had to pick up the slack.
Oh, a lot of people
take care of things around here when you were.
A lot of people picked up.
Did you think
that
was it then? Like, I mean, it must have crossed your mind at some point. Like, that's it. This is the end of my term as time as mayor. I won't be able to do anything or anything like that.
I think we were back in here within the 45 days or shortly after the 45 days.
Right.
We're back in with a wheelchair or a walker. And you took it day by day. But work was important. Work was as great for mental therapy as the physical therapy was.
Right.
You get around to see people that you love and you want to be with, and you make things happen, and it kind of gets the adrenaline flowing again. We had work to do. We were in the midst of the Plaza deal. We were in the midst of the deal over on the old golf course. I never forget they had that protest out there that day. The African-American group, contractors, had a protest out there because Menards wasn't using enough African-American workers construction workers on their site. But I went out there. It was a pretty tough day because we were out there for 2 or 3 hours with the protest.
And you're still in the state that you were in.
I was in a walker.
Yeah.
I went out there with the walker, met with those folks who become very good friends in the long run, Ed Gardner and a lot of his people. And we settled it. We got some more people of color working on a particular job. So they had a good.
So you didn't stop.
No, you couldn't stop.
Right.
You stop, somebody'd step on you.
Right.
No, you can't stop. You just keep going.
Companies that offer insurance at low prices may not cover what you need, just what you paid for. Cutting your auto insurance coverage could end up costing you thousands in the end. Mike Thauer at Country Financial offers what cut-rate insurers cannot: peace of mind. Mike's a lifelong resident of Evergreen Park, with his offices right at 3923 West 95th Street in the EP. Mike has policies that stand up to life's challenges and protect what you value most. He'll help you make a smart decision, not a costly one. Call Mike Thauer, your local country insurance representative, 708-425-1559, and protect what matters most. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, or Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois. So take me through a typical day. Take me kind of through typically like how much is spent like village stuff and how that's going on right now, and how much is going like big picture stuff that you're looking at?
Well, you always start out with, we get in, read all the police reports, see what the activity from
every day you sit down and take a look at
before
the
night before
Right.
was. Is there anything I need to speak with the Chief Saunders or Chief Kleinhaus about? Any trends that we're seeing? We're getting ready, by the way, to put our extra effort into the holiday season. We will have our police officers out walking and talking with all of our retail businesses.
So they're going to be visible.
They're going to be
on
95th
beat
Street.
cops on 95th Street.
Yes.
Okay.
They'll park cars out there. They'll be at the plaza. They'll be at the old golf course property. They'll be out walking and talking so the bad guys know that they're there.
Right.
We have enough 62 sworn full-time police officers. That's probably 3 times the national average.
As you know, we've talked about it before you sat down on a microphone. My father was a Chicago cop for 34 years.
Your dad was and my dad was, so we kind of learned.
And he has made comments to me, like we were just talking the other day about what police, like how there's not enough police here, there's not enough police here. And he goes, but you live in the Cadillac of police districts. You guys seem to be on the ball over there.
That's what you deserve.
Right.
And if you don't feel safe, you'll leave. And we don't want anybody to leave. So this holiday season, Thanksgiving and Christmas, we will have extra patrols with uniformed officers and plainclothes officers in these stores on a regular basis, talking to the retailers, seeing if there's any crimes with patterns with crimes to them. We need that information from them too. After we get done with that in the morning, we get the mail, we open up the mail, see what's happening with the mail, with emails and things, and then we start.
Like everybody else does at their office.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And a large portion of my time is spent around economic development. So that's calling people. I had a couple meetings this morning with some people looking to sell property or redevelop property. We try and help them. Unlike some of our neighbors, the new plaza has worked out really well. And I encourage everybody while we're talking about this, keep the green and evergreen. That 1% sales tax that the state returns to us goes right here. It goes to picking up those leaves. It goes to police. It goes to fire. It goes to snow removal. So when you spend 1% in Orland Park or Oak Lawn or even in Chicago, you're not getting a bang back for your buck. Spend your money here. We have enough large retailers, national. We have enough small mom and pop. Have your party at a local restaurant. Have your family Christmas party at a local restaurant. We, every year, have my wife's party at the Red Palm.
Right.
It's a beautiful banquet room back there, and we encourage people to spend their money in Evergreen Park, especially around the holidays. Because if they're not making money, they're not going to be here, and we got a vacancy.
So keep the green and evergreen and enjoy this holiday season kicking off this week. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for helping us kick it off right here on the EP Podcast. Found everywhere podcasts can be found and always at the EPPodcast.com. We'll see you next week.
Another show is wrapped up. Another show's in the books. Another show is wrapped up. And then by the looks, it's going to be a good one. And we'll see you next week. And the nudist basement. And the nudist basement. Another show is wrapped up. Another show is wrapped up. Another show is wrapped up. And it's in the books. Another show is wrapped up. Another show is wrapped up. And by the looks, it's gonna be a good one. Nudist basement. Broadcast basement. The nudist basement. The broad basement. Slancha.
We're done.
We're done.
Yeah, we're done.
We're
That's
just sitting here
that's
talking.
like the whole show. Yeah,
We take this thing away so we can talk.
Oh yeah, we could just hang out if we want to do that.
You can come you can come over to Unit, Dad.
My wife would love that.
But business is business, Chris.
Hey, I had to go, sweetheart.
The mayor said
I had to go.
Mayor said come over.
The EP Podcast. Heard everywhere podcasts can be found, and always at the EPPodcast.com.